Good day, folks. Everything new under the sun. Now, this is not going to be a popular video by any stretch, but it is about the last days. And even though it may not get the number of clicks that maybe some other videos get, I think it is very important nonetheless, because as we are in these last days, we need to understand the types of milestones that we're going to see coming and then surpass, which will indicate that the judgment of the Lord is falling. Now, I'm gonna try and not say any particular keywords here, but the lust of the flesh. This is gotquestions.org, and sinful lust is not just about sexual desire, although that's kind of a large part of what was happening in Sodom and Gomorrah. Sinful lust is an overpowering desire which God has forbidden. 1 John 2, 15, 16 mentions three types of lust that lead us into greater sin. Do not love the world, so things, possessions, or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in them. Do you love the world? Do you love the things that you have? And this is using love in the specific meaning of it. You can like a lot of things, but do you love them? Do you devote your time and effort to them? Bible indicates you shouldn't be doing that, and that you should love the Father more than anything else. It says, for everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. Do we see any pride of life in this world? We absolutely do. And I think that's indicated pretty clearly, the pride of life. So lust to the flesh, lust for the things that you own maybe, or lust for the world, loving things in the world, and having pride. You've heard the saying, pride comes before a fall. And I think we see that. Again, one of the big indicators that destruction was going to come to Sodom and Gomorrah was this lust of the flesh. You know what I'm talking about again. All this stuff going on. One of the things that was happening prior to the flood of Noah in Genesis was that evil was in men's hearts continually. And what do you think that included? Maybe something like this, right? So these are indicators of the last days, and the things kind of peak evil in the last days before the judgment of God comes. So here's a headline. Do you think we're marching there in all of society, or is this just a minority group that doesn't represent a lot? When the leaders of the country, when your leaders, your kings, your queens, your commanders, when all your leaders and politicians are pushing this, that's when kind of evil has reached the height. And God judges a nation, not so much when the people are evil, but really often when the leadership is completely evil and corrupt. And that's the kind of the red line, because the people can repent. But when the whole country, in terms of the government and the leadership, because God puts those government and leadership folks in place, remember. He is sovereign. He puts those people in place for a purpose and a reason and a time. When they become corrupt and evil, that means the judgment of God is going to come soon. So the Biden Department of Defense lets you know what service members skip deployments, receive indefinite physical fitness waivers, according to a confidential memo. So you can read the headline there. So I guess that's an easy way out. If you want to get out of the war, maybe you can do that. Here is news about San Francisco. You know what the headline in San Francisco is and what they're known for. Well, their downtown is collapsing. Their economy is collapsing. People are moving out. There's drugs and alcohol and violent crime on the streets. Why? San Francisco is an HELL hole that epitomizes everything wrong with how progressives govern cities. Again, it's the government that's causing the trouble. And I think God is allowing the sin of man to really kind of play out in these cities. That's because Democrats in City Hall believe that most criminals are victims. Don't arrest the criminals. So they're allowing the crime to run rampant. Meanwhile, the good tax-paying people, they're the ones that are called bigots, and they're the ones that are have to pay the bills to keep, to pay for criminals in jail, or even to pay for the higher price of goods and services when they let the criminals go. So the criminals, they gain every which way. Due to failed social justice reform policies, the business conditions in downtown San Francisco have become challenging. Furthermore, the ongoing structural decline in demand for office space has thwarted any potential economic recovery. And again, I think this is due to decades of sin. Again, all spoken of, I think, in 1 John 2, chapter 2. Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love of the Father is not in him. For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, comes not from the Father, but from the world. So that's what we see happening. Again, this is an indicator of the last days, folks. And this is one of the last major obvious signs, I believe, that happens just before the wrath of God comes. And you see it already in, again, failing cities, failing governments, failing militaries. When countries get so enveloped by evil, you can look at the Roman times. There's evil everywhere, and the society just falls apart because the love of many grow cold. And society just, there are no rules anymore. There is no truth. There is no absolute truth. There is no biblical truth. And so the consequence of that is absolute chaos. And that's what, hell is, in a way, absolute chaos apart from God, a place away from God. And people are making the earth into chaos, also known as HELL. And they don't want God, and they're getting what they deserve. Now, what will these people do? Well, they'll move to the next place where there's lots of conservatives and start living there and demand all sorts of services from the majority conservatives in the state or the location, wherever they are. They'll move to the next best place and demand, their rights, quote unquote, in the name of freedom and equity and equality and all this sort of thing. So, again, this is not a video that's going to get much views, but I think it does dictate and point out that we are so close to the wrath of God coming. And as it relates to the timeline of the return of the Lord, the last things that are happening in the flood of Noah, the fate of Sodom and Gomorrah, is this evil in the hearts of men continually, and specifically, I think this lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, the pride of life. Again, this happened to the Roman Empire, the pride of life. They were just living. They thought they had everything, and that everything would be awesome forever. And they had no, they didn't revere God. They didn't fear God. They were just living in their own luxury and living off the backs of others. So thanks for watching. I'll leave there, guys. This speaks to the last days. We are in them.